Hello, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to the Cabrillo College Allied Health Programs. And my name is Phil Carr. I'm a criminal justice instructor here at Cabrillo, who will be retiring this semester. But I've taught criminal justice, and I've been employed in law enforcement for over 30 years and taught criminal justice now for close to 15 years, both at Cabrillo and at San Jose State. What I'd like to talk to you about today is a little bit about having your criminal record expunged. As you're entering the medical field, which like other fields like education, childcare, and public safety, you're one of these people that has to have a background check, a criminal background check before you're employed. Your employer will do what's called a live scan. It's a computerized way of obtaining your fingerprints. Those are automatically sent to the Department of Justice. The Department of Justice will send the employer a copy of your records for their use, and they'll be able to see anytime you've been arrested, convicted, had a record dismissed. Even though your records are dismissed or expunged, they still remain on your criminal history, and law enforcement and employers can see them. I have to give you a couple of caveats before I get going. Number one, I'm not an attorney, so I can't give you legal advice. What I'm doing is showing you from my experience working with the records clearance program at San Jose State is how to read your criminal history, the forms that you can use to submit a request to have a petition to have your charges dismissed, and basically how the system works. Again, your employer can still see these. At the records clearance program at San Jose State, we always suggest that people seeking employment let their employers know that, yeah, I had a petty theft when I was 18, but I had it dismissed and I haven't committed any crime since. One of the big problems with the criminal histories is a lot of employers, not so much the institutions like the colleges and hospitals and that, but a lot of the smaller employers don't know how to read these things correctly. So this will give you an idea of what's on your criminal history, what things to look for, and how you can get the information to fill out a petition for dismissal. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to contact me. My email is phcarr@cabrillo.edu. And I'll be more than happy to help you out. Again, this goes a little bit fast, so hopefully you'll catch it, but it'll give you a good idea of what you need to do to have your records dismissed. And personally, I'd like to thank the Allied Health for giving me this opportunity. One of the problems we found at San Jose State was a lot of times students would complete, especially a for-profit institution, complete the entire program, and then go out and find out they weren't eligible to participate or become employed in that field because of their criminal history. Again, the employers have the final say in this, so even if you have your records dismissed, it's up to them. Hopefully they'll make it for cause. That would be, let's say you had several arrests for prescription drug addiction or use. You probably won't get a job as a pharmacy tech. I mean, that just kind of makes sense. That being said, if you had a petty theft when you were 18, you're now 28, that doesn't mean that you won't get a job, because the petty theft really doesn't apply to becoming a pharmacy tech. I mean, yeah, there could be some connection, but again, it's up to each employer, and they have the final word. But again, what we don't want you to do is finish your degree program, then suddenly find out. And I would suggest to everyone, go ahead and pull your criminal history just to take a look. There have been errors on these things, and I know we've at the record clearance program have discovered a couple of them. One was somebody's birth date. When they entered the record, it was transposed from 1967 to 1976. Just a switch of those two numbers attached the record to somebody with the same name in that, but had never committed a crime, although it's kind of unusual. Again, misdemeanors are going to be much easier to get expunged than felonies, although there is a process to have a felony reduced to a misdemeanor and then a felony expunged, or a felony reduced all the way down to an infraction. Although personally, I've never seen that done, but it is on the books. So again, just take a look at some of the forms that I'm going to. I hopefully will explain them all to you that you can understand it. And again, if you need any help, again, please email me at phcarr@cabrillo.edu. Thank you, and good luck in your new careers. Okay, you've gone down and gotten your live scan at the Sheriff's Department or one of the commercial providers such as the UPS office at 41st and Soquel. and they've sent off your live scan to the Department of Justice, and you've waited your 3 to 6 weeks, and now you've got your criminal history. You open that up, and you can't make heads or tails of it. One of the first things you need to do is go ahead and get on Google and type in California Department of Justice Criminal History Example PDF. That's a real simple way to find the forms. You go down, and what you'll see is a whole bunch of stuff that doesn't matter. And then you'll come down to the How to Read a California Department of Justice and its Criminal History Form by Cornell University. This is one of the better examples I've seen. You go ahead and click on that. And this form will pop up. It's basically how to read your criminal history report or rap sheet, which stands for Records and Arrests and Prosecutions. We like to make acronyms out of everything. Take a look at your criminal history sheet. What you'll find is there's not all convictions. Some charges may have been dropped. It'll list the information that you'll need to have your record expunged if there is a conviction still listed. Scroll down, and you'll get a sample of a criminal history form. Gives the arrest date. This is April 18th, 2017. Name of the county, Santa Clara County. This is the booking or police file number, not the actual case number. Again, it lists the counts 1 through 3 on this case. An accessory under 32 PC, and PC is penal code 4844 PC, petty theft, and 459 460B, a second degree burglary. Okay. What this record shows me is that at this point in time you were arrested, booked, and fingerprinted. I can tell that by the dashes here. When I scroll down, this is still continuing on the same case. Now they've assigned it a case number, and they've listed the different counts. You'll see that the 32 PC, an accessory to a crime, wasn't even put into the system by the courts. They put in count 2 and count 3, which is the 4844. And in this situation, you'll see the disposition for the petty theft charge says it's dismissed. FOJ pled to other charges, meaning you pled to the burglary charge. FOJ means furtherance of justice. So this count was dismissed from the furtherance of justice. There is no conviction, and that's already been expunged from your record. Okay. When you go down, you were convicted. The disposition on the burglary charge, you were convicted. Conviction status is a felony. You were sentenced to 3 years probation, 6 months jail. Imposition of the sentence was suspended, meaning that if you successfully completed your probation, you didn't have to do the 6 months in jail. If you don't complete your probation, you go to jail for 6 months. And again, look for those notations. They can appear, again, here's a DUI charge and possession of controlled substance. Again, the primary code you'll see is vehicle code, VC, health and safety code, HS, penal code, PC, or business and professions, BP. So you go down on this second count. This is a 23152 DUI. If you're convicted of that, we cannot expunge a DUI charge, as your third DUI is a felony and it remains on your record for minimum 7 years. Again, some of these, depending on what the courts felt, may or may not have been dismissed. Okay. In this case, you got 3 years probation, 1 day in jail, and a fine. The 23152A in this case was dismissed furtherance of justice, and you were given 23152B, which all that means is that your blood alcohol was 0.08 or above. In this case, they probably gave blood and they didn't know right off the bat what their blood alcohol was. So that gives you an idea what they're looking for, and this is information you'll need on the form to explain. Okay, so you went through your criminal history and you found violations that were not dismissed. Misdemeanors or felonies. Felonies are a bit more complicated. Misdemeanors are pretty standard. And hopefully we're just dealing with misdemeanors for most of you. You'll need to take go to the California Superior Court forms. Again, just use Google, put in California Superior Court forms, search for that, and when you come up, you'll get these results. And the best one down here is the Browse All Forms, Forms and Rules of the California Courts. You can tell this is a government site by the GOV designator on the URL. And so when you click on that, you'll come up with this other form. That is the actual form that you fill out to have your records dismissed. So this is the area where you get your forms. This is all the forms that are applicable to the California courts. Browse all forms, you just go down, select a category. We're only dealing with criminal records here. So you just go right up to criminal, click on that, and then you click on See Forms. When you click on the See Forms, you'll get a whole bunch of forms that'll come up. I happen to know this is CR 180, so you can scroll right down to CR 180 and click on that form, and then the actual form itself will come up. Okay, and once you click on the CR 180, this is the form that you'll see. Pretty self-explanatory. You can do this with or without an attorney. A lot of people, especially on misdemeanors, do it without an attorney. If you're having a felony reduced to a misdemeanor or a felony reduced to an infraction, I would suggest getting an attorney. They can become rather tricky at times, a little more complicated than the misdemeanors. You'd use 17B, 17D2 for 17B is reducing a felony to a misdemeanor. D2 is reducing a felony to an infraction, which doesn't occur that often. The 1203.4, 4A, and the other 1203 sections are basically used for dismissing misdemeanors or expunging misdemeanors from your record. Again, real self-explanatory form, your name, your street address, all that. Attorney, if you don't have one, just leave it blank. You don't need a state bar number. You're the defendant, your date of birth. The case number that's listed, remember, not the police or the booking number, but the actual case number. You'll see the CC designator before your actual case number on your criminal history form. The date that the offense occurred, again, what code section, penal code, health and safety, PC, H&S, whatever it is. The section on the thing we are looking at, the petty theft, 4844, put those sections in there. Misdemeanor, petty theft. It's a misdemeanor, so no, it's not eligible. No, it's not eligible for a felony reduction. And again, hopefully most of you are dealing with felonies. Felony or misdemeanor probation granted. Normally the criminal history form will indicate if there was formal probation granted, but there's several times of probation. You can get formal court probation where you're assigned to a probation officer who you check in with or comes out and checks on you for a period of time. Those are usually the more serious cases. You can have informal probation where the judge just says you're assigned to probation for a year, you're to stay away from alcohol, different things, whatever it is. Again, to have your record expunged, you have to have successfully completed all the conditions of probation for the entire period. So if they gave it to you for 3 years, you have to wait the 3 years. If they only gave you a year, you have to wait to a year, and you cannot commit any other crimes or violations during that period, nor can you violate any terms of probation or conditions. If you were not given probation and it's a misdemeanor charge, it's basically informal probation, and you don't report to anybody, you don't check in or out, but you have to wait a year. And again, you cannot commit any other crimes during that year. So please check your record for those. If you had some problems on probation, you can still get relief and have your record expunged in the interest of justice. And you need to provide the courts with some information on how your life has changed, what you've done better, what issues were taking place. We always suggest that the records clearance program, at San Jose State, that you always put some type of statement on here indicating what you've done with your life. You're going to school, you're getting ready to did a degree in nursing or whatever your degree is going to be in, and just indicate that you've changed some. That always helps with the courts in their decision. Again, you can complete this form Easiest way is to take it to the probation department and have them look at it. You can also submit it to the court clerk to have the district attorney's office look at it. I know in Santa Cruz County, I believe the probation department is charging somewhere around $50 for a review, where the court clerk is charging $180. So go ahead and complete the document, turn it in probation department, which I would suggest as your first move. If the probation department doesn't recommend that your record be dismissed, you can always go to the court clerk office and have it reviewed by the district attorney. Again, some sections, like the marijuana sections, if you have a marijuana conviction, they're almost expunging those automatically. Again, keep a copy of this for yourself, and make sure you clear this form. You don't want this stuff hanging around on your computer. And they should take a number of weeks or give you a timeline on when they will get back to you. And they'll should send you official notification. As I mentioned in the beginning, I am not an attorney and I can't give legal advice, but I just wanted to show you some of the forms that you can use and some of the websites you can go to take a look at your criminal history, how to get your criminal history, and then how to petition to have some records expunged. Again, please remember that even though you have a record expunged, it still remains on your criminal history. You'll just see that dismissed in the interest of justice or dismissed in the furtherance of justice notation. It's visible to law enforcement, and it's also visible to employers. One of the big problems is a lot of employers don't know how to read these forms properly, the criminal histories. So we always suggested, and I know the records clearance program always told the clients there, if you do get your record dismissed and you're applying for a job, and again, we're in some of the sensitive jobs, the medical field, education, law enforcement, those type of things that require backgrounds. If you're applying for a job, we always suggest that you let the potential employer know. I had a petty theft violation when I was 18. It was dismissed in the interest of justice and there was no conviction. End of story. You don't have to tell me anything more than that. Again, if you're applying for any type of, if you want to be a nurse in a correctional facility, you're going to go through a full background and you absolutely have to let those people know, and they'll see it anyway. But again, if you have any questions, please get a hold of me. Again, my name is Phil Carr, and you can reach me at phcarr@cabrillo.edu. Thank you, and again, welcome to the Allied Health Program.